Imagine you are driving down a highway at 60 miles per hour. The sun is hanging low in the sky, and suddenly, you are blind. A massive, white, searing sheet of light bounces off the road or the car in front of you, and for a split second, you cannot see anything. That is glare. It is not just annoying, it is dangerous. We've all been there. You reach for your sunglasses, you slide them on, and like magic, that blinding white wall just disappears. But have you ever stopped to wonder, how does a thin piece of plastic actually do that? It is not just about making things darker. If you just used dark glass, the glare would still be there. It would just be a slightly darker version of the same blinding light. So what is the secret? The answer involves some of the coolest physics in the universe, a secret code hidden in light waves, and a manufacturing process that sounds like it belongs in a lab for high-tech polymers. This is the hidden science of how sunglasses actually block glare. To understand how sunglasses work, we first have to understand what light actually is. Think of light as a wave, but not just any wave. Think of a long rope tied to a door handle. If you shake your hand up and down, you create a vertical wave. If you shake your hand side to side, you create a horizontal wave. Now imagine 1,000,000 people all shaking ropes in every possible direction at the same time. That is what sunlight is. It is unpolarized. The light waves are vibrating in every direction, diagonal, vertical, horizontal, and everything in between. When this chaotic mess of light travels through the air, it is fine. It hits your eyes from all angles, and your brain processes it as a normal image of the world. But something very strange happens when that light hits a flat, smooth surface, like a wet road, a calm lake, or the hood of a car. When that chaotic jumble of light waves strikes a horizontal surface, the surface acts like a filter. It reflects the light, but it prefers one specific direction. Most of the vertical waves get absorbed or scattered, but those horizontal waves, they bounce off that surface perfectly, staying aligned and concentrated. Suddenly, instead of a mix of all directions, you have a massive concentration of light vibrating in one single horizontal plane. That is glare. It is essentially a concentrated blast of organized light that is way too bright for your eyes to handle. So, how do we stop it? If the problem is that we have too much horizontal light, we need a gatekeeper that only lets in vertical light. This is where the magic of polarization comes in. Imagine you are holding a giant picket fence. The slats in the fence are vertical, with small gaps between them. If you try to throw a flat, horizontal frisbee through those vertical slats, what happens? It hits the wood and bounces off. It cannot get through. But if you turn that frisbee vertically, it slides right through the gap. That is exactly how a polarized lens works. On a microscopic level, a polarized lens is covered in a chemical film that has been stretched out until its molecules are aligned in perfect parallel rows. These molecules act like the slats in our picket fence. Because the glare from the road is horizontal, those light waves hit the vertical molecular rows in your sunglasses and get blocked instantly. But the light from the rest of the world, the light that allows you to see trees, signs, and other cars, is still vibrating in all sorts of directions, including vertically. Those vertical components slide right through the gaps in the filter. The result? The blinding white light is gone, but the rest of the image is crisp, clear, and easy to see. Now, you might be thinking, why do my $5 gas station glasses not do this as well as the $150 pair? Well, not all sunglasses are polarized. If you buy a cheap pair of tinted glasses, all they are doing is adding a dark dye to the plastic. This reduces the total amount of light entering your eye, which is better than nothing, but it does zero to stop the glare. In fact, it can sometimes be worse. Because the tint makes the environment darker, your pupils dilate or open up wider to let in more light. If those glasses do not have a proper UV filter or a polarizing layer, you are actually letting more of that concentrated harmful glare deep into your eye than if you were wearing no glasses at all. The process of making these polarized lenses is actually pretty intense. It started back in 1929 when a man named Edwin Land, the guy who later founded Polaroid, figured out how to manifest this physics in a practical way. He took a sheet of plastic and embedded it with millions of tiny crystals of herapathite. Then he stretched the sheet. This stretching process forced all those microscopic crystals to line up in a single direction, creating the world's first synthetic light filter. Today, we use a special chemical called iodine. A thin film of polyvinyl alcohol is soaked in an iodine-rich solution and then stretched in one direction. The iodine molecules attach themselves to the long polymer chains, creating a microscopic grid that acts as our picket fence. This film is then sandwiched between two layers of glass or high-quality plastic to protect it from the elements. But polarized lenses are not perfect for every situation. In fact, there are times when you absolutely should not wear them. Have you ever looked at your smartphone or a gas station pump while wearing polarized glasses and noticed the screen looks black or has weird rainbow patterns? That is because most LCD screens also use polarizing filters to control their own light. When the filter in the screen and the filter in your glasses are at 90-degree angles to each other, they block 100% of the light. You see nothing. This is a huge deal for pilots. Most cockpit instruments are digital, and if a pilot tilts their head while wearing polarized glasses, their entire dashboard could go pitch black. Not exactly what you want when you are landing a plane. It is also why skiers sometimes avoid them. While polarization is great for seeing through the glare on a lake, it can be a problem on a mountain. On a ski slope, glare is actually helpful for identifying patches of ice. If your glasses block the glare, the ice looks exactly like the snow, and you might end up taking a very painful tumble because you could not see the slick spots. However, for almost everyone else, polarization is a literal game changer. If you are a fisherman, you know that looking at a lake on a sunny day is like looking at a mirror. You cannot see what is under the water because the surface glare is too bright. But the moment you put on polarized lenses, the glare vanishes. It is like having X-ray vision. You can see the fish, the rocks, and the weeds below the surface as if the water were crystal clear. It is the same for driving after a rainstorm. The wet asphalt acts like a giant mirror, but with the right glasses, that blinding reflection is deleted, leaving you with a clear view of the road lines and potential hazards. So, how can you tell if your glasses are actually polarized or if the company's just lying to you? There is a really simple test you can do right now. Take 2 pairs of sunglasses and hold them up to the light. Look through both of them. Now, keep one pair still and rotate the second pair 90 degrees. If the lenses are polarized, the area where they overlap will turn completely black. You have essentially created a cross-hatch pattern with the molecular slats, blocking 100% of the light. If the overlapping area stays the same, you just have tinted plastic. At the end of the day, understanding how sunglasses block glare makes you realize that we are walking around with high-level physics experiments on our faces. We are manipulating the quantum nature of light waves just so we can enjoy a drive to the beach or a day on the boat. It is a reminder that the world is full of invisible patterns, and sometimes all it takes to see the truth is looking at things from a slightly different angle. So next time you slide those shades on and the world suddenly becomes clear, remember, you are not just wearing an accessory. You are wearing a microscopic picket fence that is fighting a war against chaotic light waves and winning. If you found this dive into the science of sight interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden tech of our everyday lives. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your filters aligned.